When Mesut Özil is on it, he is one of the best and he is world class.
But Ozil, he was a magician.
He's a hell of a player. I mean, a footballer who can open up teams is rare, and he's one of the best at that.
If I'm Arsene Wenger, I'm saying, listen, when he gets the ball, I just want you to back him up. If he loses it, you get it back and give it back to him to let him get on with it again. Because some players, for me, you just have to give them the license to do that.
But it seems like, that he's playing at home in his garden. Like, no one is around him.
So every time when he got the ball, you will know he will never play it back. He will always play it forward.
For me, I don't like to compare players, but he's an exceptional player.
I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. Arsene Wenger has got more experience than anybody in the Premier League, and he comes out with a statement like that. He's just asking for trouble.
Arsenal can't afford to carry someone like Ozil. Today, he wants to have a good look at himself. He's not kidding us watching the game. It's not real.
He's not going to start running back and tackling people and doing that. That's a different game, different age we're in for me.
If you've got a man who doesn't fancy running back and busting a gut and doing dirty work, out of possession, you're a man down.
In the 2013 transfer window on deadline day, news broke that Mesut Özil was leaving Real Madrid for Arsenal.
We are just over half an hour from the window closing, and Arsenal have pulled off the signing of Mesut Özil. A 5-year contract was put on the table to him. He has signed that. Mesut Özil is now only playing in the Premier League for Arsenal.
Outside the Emirates, fans were losing their minds. They sang his name before he even signed.
We can beat Tottenham without Ozil. Now we've got Ozil, we're going to beat everyone in not only the country but Europe, mate.
For a club that had seen top players leave for years, this felt like a fresh start. But moments like that don't happen overnight. To understand how Ozil got there, you have to go back to where it all started.
My dad. I remember my dad was with 17, he was married. And with 18, he had already the first kid.
Mesut Ozil's story begins in Gelsenkirchen, Germany, a city built on coal and steel, and a place where life was tough, especially for immigrant families like Ozil's. Ozil was born and raised in Germany, spoke the language, but for years wasn't treated as truly German. It took him 16 years to gain citizenship, and many believed it only came once his football talent became impossible to ignore. At school, he felt like an outsider. Teachers even worried about him. On the pitch, well, it was another story. By the time Schalke brought him into their academy, he was already seen as special. Joachim Löw, who had just taken charge of the German national team, would watch him closely, convinced that Ozil could bring something new to Germany. This wasn't the typical German midfielder. Ozil had flair, unpredictability, and magic in his feet. He looked like the missing piece in Löw's vision of modern German football. But of course, it wouldn't all be smooth. Schalke made promises they didn't keep. And before long, Ozil had a falling out with the board. So he left, moving to Werder Bremen, a decision that would shape the next big step of his career. At Werder Bremen, Ozil immediately showed why he was so highly rated. In his first season, he helped the club to a second-place finish in the Bundesliga. The following year, he became decisive in the Champions League group stage, though Bremen would drop down to the UEFA Cup. There, they reached the final, but lost to Shakhtar Donetsk in extra time. It could have been seen as a setback, but Ozil didn't let it affect him. Just a week later, he scored the winning goal in the German Cup final, delivering Bremen their only trophy in 17 years. That moment alone made him a hero for the club. And it didn't stop there. In his third season, when Bremen failed to win silverware, Ozil took his game to a new level. He won the Under-21 Euros with Germany, scoring and assisting in the final, and was named Man of the Match. Back in the Bundesliga, he opened the season with 6 goals and 9 assists in just 13 games. By the end of the season, he had 28 assists and 10 goals in just over 3,800 minutes of football. Ozil wasn't just talented anymore, he was world class. And his next stop was the biggest stage of them all, the World Cup in South Africa. At the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, Mesut Özil was just 21. With captain Michael Ballack injured, a lot of responsibility fell on him.
The legendary former Germany coach and international claimed the former Chelsea midfielder being ruled out.
For many players that age, it would be too much, but for Ozil, it was the chance he needed. From the start, he looked calm. He won man of the match in the opening game, had a hand in 3 of Germany's 4 goals, and later scored the winner against Ghana. In the knockouts, he kept creating, setting up goals against England and Argentina, before Germany lost to eventual winners Spain. By the end of the tournament, Ozil had been nominated as one of the best players of the World Cup. He finished as the competition's top assist provider, and even the veterans in the squad couldn't stop praising him. Philipp Lahm said, "It isn't easy to fill Ballack's boots, but Ozil quickly proved he is one of the best in the world." Miroslav Klose added, "People talk about Messi, Ronaldo and Kaká, But Ozil is as good as any of them. He will surely be the best in the world one day. The world had taken notice. Rumours spread quickly. Wayne Rooney was said to have begged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign him for Manchester United. Barcelona were heavily linked. But in the end, there was only one destination.
German forward Mesut Özil successfully passed a medical revision in the Spanish capital on Wednesday, officially presented as Real Madrid's latest and last signing of the summer.
And Ozil himself put it simply, when you get the chance to join Real, there's no decision to be made.
The best teams play here in the Liga BBVA, and Real Madrid is the best club in the world.
He was given the number 23 shirt, previously worn by Beckham and Guti, and he was expected to learn under Kaká, but fate had other plans. Kaká was sidelined with injuries, and suddenly Ozil was thrust straight into the starting lineup, and from his very first season, he made Europe stand up and pay attention. Ozil's first season at Madrid was unforgettable. In 53 appearances, he scored 10 goals and delivered 29 assists, the most by any player in Europe that season. And remember, this was a 21-year-old in his very first season at one of the toughest clubs in the world. His chemistry with Cristiano Ronaldo was instant. Ronaldo himself admitted later, "No one knew my moves like Ozil." Ozil provided more assists for Ronaldo than anyone else during that period, threading passes that seemed impossible until you watched them happen. By his second season, Mourinho gave him the number 10 shirt, a number once worn by Luis Figo. That was no coincidence. Mourinho said, "Ozil is unique, there isn't anyone else like him. Not even a bad copy." And Ozil lived up to it, creating 28 assists across all competitions, topping the charts again. Real Madrid reached 100 points in La Liga for the first time in history, finally breaking Barcelona's dominance. The following season, he led La Liga in assists for the third year in a row. By then, he had 81 assists in 159 games for Madrid, some of the best numbers ever seen. But behind the brilliance, problems were brewing. Mourinho grew frustrated with his work rate and even publicly criticised him in training. When Carlo Ancelotti arrived, things didn't get easier, and then Gareth Bale for a world record fee. Suddenly, Ozil's future wasn't so clear. Contract disputes didn't help either, as reports claimed he wanted wages closer to Ronaldo's. Eventually, it all came to a head. On deadline day of 2013, Madrid sold him to Arsenal for £42.5 million, making him the most expensive German player ever. When Ozil landed at Arsenal, the reaction was chaos. Fans celebrated in the streets. It felt like a turning point after years of frustration. And at first, it was. Ozil immediately became the creative hub of Wenger's team, assisting relentlessly and helping Arsenal finally end their 9-year trophy drought with the FA Cup in 2014. That same summer, he travelled to Brazil with Germany for the 2014 World Cup. Deployed slightly out of position, Ozil still played every single match, scoring the crucial goal in extra time against Algeria and creating more chances than anyone else in the tournament. Germany went all the way, and Ozil returned as a world champion. UEFA President Michel Platini was so impressed that he personally asked Ozil for his shirt after the final, something that doesn't happen often. Back at Arsenal, the next few years were a roller coaster. There were injuries that sidelined him, but there were also flashes of magic. In 2015-16, he created 146 chances in a single Premier League season, smashing the record. He finished with 19 assists, just one short of Thierry Henry's all-time mark. Arsenal ended second in the league, their best finish in over a decade. By then, Ozil had become the fastest player to record 50 Premier League assists. His touch, his calmness, his eye for the killer ball, it all made him one of the most enjoyable players to watch in England. After Arsene Wenger left in 2018, things began to shift. Ozil posed for a photo with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, sparking outrage in Germany.
Ozil, he has Turkish ancestry, and he says this photograph is about going back and exploring his Turkish heritage. Critics jumping on it though and accusing him of no longer being not really being German, and also of playing politics when he himself is a footballer and should be above that.
When the national team crashed out of the group stage, Ozil became the scapegoat.
You give me a tape of Ozil playing for Germany, and I'll find little bits of tape where he's walking back.
The abuse was relentless. He later posted,
"I'm German when I win, but I'm an immigrant when we lose."
At Arsenal, the situation wasn't much better. With Unai Emery in charge, Ozil found himself benched frequently. Rumours swirled about his work rate, his discipline, and even disputes with management. The problem was, Ozil's performances began to dip. Injuries piled up, his influence faded, and critics grew louder. What once looked like a dream move was turning into a nightmare. From 2019 onwards, Ozil's career spiralled. He clashed with Emery and later with Mikel Arteta. During the pandemic, he refused a club-requested pay cut, saying he didn't trust where the money would go. Arsenal fans were divided. Some saw him as principled, others saw him as selfish. Frustrating Ozil and damaging his image with the board, suddenly, Arsenal's most marketable star was no longer marketable at all. By 2021, the club didn't even register him in their Premier League or Europa League squads. Ozil left Arsenal for his boyhood club Fenerbahce in 2021, hoping for a fresh start. But injuries plagued him. He never regained his old form. Later he moved to Istanbul Başakşehir, a club closely tied to the Turkish state. By then his body was failing him. He played just 7 matches before announcing his retirement in 2023 at the age of 34. Arsenal fans will always remember the magic nights at the Emirates. Madrid fans will remember the partnership with Ronaldo. And Germany will always have the 2014 World Cup, where Ozil played a key part in making them champions of the world. Might not have reached the 400 assists he once seemed destined for, but at his peak he was football in its purest form: vision, elegance, and genius. And for that, he'll always be remembered as one of the greatest playmakers of his generation.